So today I want to talk a bit about the case study exams and what you need to do to ensure that you pass. Now, students often come to us in the situation where they've sat the OCS exam or any of the case study exams perhaps once, two or even three times, and they've failed. And if they failed multiple times, it's very frustrating to have failed that exam. It has a low pass rate. The operational case study has around about a 50% first time pass rate, so failure is fairly common. But if you failed it multiple times, you're not entirely sure what it is you're doing wrong and you feel like you're banging your head against the wall, then this video is for you, because I'm going to tell you the 3 things that I think you need to do to increase your chances of passing a case study exam. So those 3 things then, the first thing is that you probably don't know the syllabus well enough. The second thing is that your exam strategy is not very good. And the third thing is that your writing style is probably poor. So I'm going to take a look at those 3 things and discuss each of them in a bit more detail to see if we can come up with some ways and strategies for going forward and making sure you pass your case study next time and then you don't have to do it again. So the first thing I said was that you probably don't know the syllabus well enough. So if we take operational, for example, but this could apply to MCS or SES, but specifically for operational case study, the exam is based on all of the topics from E1 and P1 and F1, and really you could be examined on any of those topics. So here's what you need to do. If there's any areas of the syllabus, E1, F1, P1, that you're not sure about, you download that syllabus off the CIMA website, you print it off, and you get a highlighter pen. 3 different colours would be good, but if you've just got one highlighter, that's fine. And you go through every single topic in the syllabus and you highlight the ones that you aren't very good with, aren't very comfortable with. If you were asked an exam question on it, you wouldn't do very well on it. You highlight all those and you think, right, those are the ones I'm going to study first. Now, if you have 3 different colours, you can highlight those in red as the most troublesome. Then in orange or yellow, you could highlight ones that you're kind of okay on, you could maybe do a question on, but preferably you study a bit more. And then in green you have the ones that you're very comfortable with and you don't really need to study those at all. Now once you've done that, you've sort of highlighted the areas of weakness for you, go and study those particular topics. Go back to your old textbooks, maybe have a look at some practice papers, some old exams for those papers, just to make sure you know what you're doing. Now if you want to be really clever, what you can do is find past papers for the exam you're about to sit. So if you're sitting operational case study, what you can do is find the past papers from the last few sittings and look through the questions and look at what topics come up again and again and again, and that could be a way to really hone in on the kind of topics that are likely to come up and the ones you really need to study for. Now just be warned, with that particular strategy, obviously anything could come up, so don't just look at a past paper and think, okay, they're only going to ask questions on this, because every pre-scene is different and you can get questions kind of coming out of left field sometimes, so you want to make sure you are properly prepared for that. So that's issue number 1. If you don't really know the syllabus well enough, then make sure you go and study that. That's an important part of your preparation for case study exams, even more so at operational than at management or strategic. Point number 2 was that you have a poor exam strategy. Now, unfortunately, with this particular exam, you not only need to know the syllabus, you need to be good at taking exams. What does that mean? Well, you need to be able to write to time. There's a big part of this exam is writing to time, having that time pressure, being able to make your point clearly and concisely in the time available. Once your time runs out, that's it, you get pushed on to the next question and you can't finish that one. So if time management is an issue for you, you need to sit down with a stopwatch and practice writing to time. Perhaps your issue isn't with timing, perhaps it's your answers are very poorly structured. You kind of start somewhere and you think it's a good idea and then you go off on a bit of a tangent and then you kind of forget exactly what the question was, so you're not really answering the question and you've gone on, you're waffling about something that's not getting you any marks. Well, in that case, you would benefit massively from planning. So in the first 5 minutes of the exam, sketch down a plan for what you want to do for this question and try and stick to that, because that plan will have a logical structure. You'll hit all the points. You'll make sure you're always answering the question with everything you write. So what you need to do is really think about what you struggle with in exams. When you go into an exam, what is it that stresses you out the most? What is it that you struggle with? Could be timing, could be planning, could be the length, writing enough points. So really think about what you're bad at, try and identify your weakness and try and fix that, and include fixing that as your overall exam strategy. Having a good exam strategy can really make the difference between passing and failing here, because you might know everything, but you're just not very good at taking exams. So focus on that. Point 3, the final point, was your writing style is not very good. It's not very concise. So the writing style, really, you need to be very, very clear, to the point, and you need to be answering the questions. So everything you write, make sure you write in full paragraphs. Make sure you're always making a point and that it is fully explained in depth, and that once you've made that point, you move on and talk about something else. There's no point saying the same thing or more or less the same thing in 3 different paragraphs. The examiner will know that you know this one thing really well, but he wants to see that you can talk about 5 things. So make your point and move on. Make your point, move on. Writing styles are really important. You have to be clear and concise. Really think about what it is you're writing. If you just write a load of waffle and go off on a tangent and lose your place and forget what you're writing about, you're not going to get many marks. So really focus on getting a clear, concise writing style that every paragraph you write, you think about, does this answer the question? If it does, then it's probably a good paragraph. So those are my 3 key tips for how to pass this exam if you've taken it and failed it before. If you've never taken it before, this might be of use to you, but more often than not, students that are struggling to pass this exam usually have one of those 3 issues. So they either 1, don't know the syllabus well enough, 2, they have a bad exam strategy, or 3, their writing style is not very clear. So hopefully that helps you with your next case study exam. So if you found that video helpful, remember to like and subscribe on YouTube to make sure you're getting all the latest Astranti updates. And you can also find us on other social media platforms. We are on Twitter and on Instagram, and you can find us on Facebook in a number of different places. We have groups for operational strategic management case studies. So have a look on Facebook and see if you can find the right group for you.